than the bolts, and then cut into that with a saw, so that I've got them all in just slots like that.
Are those special bolts? Can you buy them anywhere?
Yes, I just bought them in
What do they call them?
Well, these are just, I don't know what they're called. These are wing nuts.
So you just want the bolt for the wing nut?
Yes, yes, yes. As long as you must get the same, they're all metric now, I think.
Size.
Yeah, and then the bottom I marked through the same. You see, when I'd done those, so I got them absolutely one on top of the other.
But they've got to be loose, haven't they?
Yes, but not any loose. What I had to do was to make them so that they moved outwards at an angle. You see, can you see that? So that they're all moving.
So have you got
like that?
You drilled 2 holes, in fact, did you?
What I did, no, I took the drill first of all and drilled it through at a sort of not exactly 45 degrees, but damn nearly like that. And then I drilled a straight one, straight through, so that you've got that locking there, but able to move outwards. And of course they're just screw ones there, which you don't actually have to screw them, you see. I just hold them and finger tight them there.
I must confess, I've never actually tried to press the flowers, although I grow them. I've
got a few in here.
I've never been shown how to do it. Is there anything?
No, nothing
pick
special.
flowers at a special time of the day?
Well, it's better, I think, to do them sort of mid-morning when they're dry.
Yeah.
And then I do them in, you see, this is cardboard, the corrugated one. This is just a bit from the cartons that I get my shopping in. And then there's blotting paper.
Oh.
And there are a few there.
Lovely.
They colour well. How long
Yes.
have they been in there?
About 4 days, a week, I think these have been here. But you see, the blotting paper absorbs any moisture.
Yes.
And then it's smooth, and then, of course, you can easily replace this.
So how long do you leave them there before you can use the flowers?
Well, it depends on the flower. If it's a very
juicy it is,
yes,
isn't it?
that's
Is it?
right. You've done quite a lot.
Yes,
haven't
I
you, Lucy?
did my wedding flowers and I made a tabletop with them under glass. It's so pretty.
Yeah. But I think it'd be nice to do and put them, mark where you got them, when you got them. And, of course, you must be careful about wildflowers because some are protected.
Oh, are they?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes, so you mustn't.
We must look up the list and
Would you
find out.
prepare it in your own garden?
Is it because you have an aversion to offal that you've never cooked lamb's tongues or hearts or anything like that?
Probably, Mary. Probably. Yes, I should think that's probably what it is.
You see, I think sometimes the look of something puts people off. But you can slice these once you've prepared them and cook them. You can then slice them, and then they are perhaps a little more acceptable. But of course, the thing about them is that they are so very cheap.
Which, let's face it, is good today.
It's absolutely marvellous, yes. But like any cheap meat, you have to be very careful how you prepare and cook them. And I just pull that off for a moment. Now, if you look here, if you look at it, you'll see that it has this very, very rough tongue. Do you see?
Yeah.
That. Well, now, when I bring them from the butcher, I give them a really good scrub. I keep a little brush for vegetables and for things like this, and I give them a really good scrub, and then soak them in lightly salted water for about 2 or 3 hours. And that will get rid of all the residual blood that may be around them, and also cleanse them. Then you rinse them off, and you plunge them into boiling stock. Reduce the heat at once. Put the lid on.
You cook them in stock?
Yes. All right? And then I leave them in that simmering until they are tender enough to pull off the skin. You see? Now, they are not tender enough at this point to serve, but they are tender enough just to pull off the skin. Because you can see that that is very thick and totally inedible. Although, believe it or not, I was once served tongue in a restaurant with the skin still on it.
Did you eat it, Mary?
No, I didn't. I sent it back. But I mean, whether or not they had a commis chef, you know, a young chap who probably didn't know his...
Looks like a foot, doesn't it?
Does a little bit. Right, now having taken off then all the skin, I'm going to turn it round and show you. If you look at the sides, each side there, you will see that there are little tiny bones.
Gosh, they
Do
are
you see those
minute,
tiny bones? And they're either side of the... There's another one. Do you see it? There, look at it down there.
Yeah.
You see a little tiny bone. Now, they must get rid of those. Also now, we trim the tongue up. Now, at the very base of the tongue, or the root of the tongue, you'll see that there's quite a nasty piece of gristle.
Gristle bit,
You can
yeah.
see it.
Mm.
Do you see it there? I take that out as well. And then trim it up very lightly. That's okay. That's fine. And then those now are ready to be cooked on. So you take an onion, decent-sized onion, and melt a good lump of butter and then soften the onion and about 2 or 3 ounces of streaky bacon, which I've taken the rind off.
It gives it a nice flavour,
That's
doesn't
it, it does.
Streaky.
That's it. And just cut it into little, what we call lardons, little strips, all right? And then as soon as that is a nice soft consistency and lightly golden, then we turn the tongues into it. Now, you can either slice them in half and serve them like that now, cook them like that, sliced in half, or when they're absolutely cooked, then you can slice them, take them out and slice them. You may find that more palatable.
Yes, I think
you know.
probably I would.
And one just turns the tongue in the butter and the bacon, like so. And then, if you'd be a dear and pass me the wine.
Yep.
Thank you. Right, now, about 1/4 pint of dry white wine. Now, if you don't have any open or you don't want to buy any, and time's a bit hard, and after all, if you were to be eating tongues, probably times are a little bit hard, that's it, then use all stock. But I've put about 1/4 pint of
It's nice.
a
It brings
dry
a nice
white
flavour,
wine.
doesn't it?
Little black pepper. Well, it turns a very ordinary thing into something rather special.
Which
Little
is
salt.
nice to get,
Yes,
isn't
it is. It is. And if you'll excuse me stretching in front of you now,
right.
a tiny point of allspice. Now that's only just a very small amount, as you can see. Really, what I call a point.
is.
And it's
What is
called
that, Mary?
well, it's called allspice because in fact the flavour of it is of clove, cinnamon,
Look, I
and
just say I can
nutmeg.
smell the cinnamon.
A mixture, and another name for it is Jamaica pepper. And in fact, when it's whole, the whole berries look very much like a black peppercorn.
Oh,
That's what it
well,
looks
I
like.
haven't heard of that one, so I shall have to have a little try.
Do. Well, I'll tell you what, you can take these
I'm never
home.
going to
You can
remember
take
all
these
this
home.
recipe, you know, Mary.
Oh, well, if you don't remember it, not to worry. All good cookery books have got nice recipes for the cooking of lamb's tongues. But the important thing to remember about it is what I told you in the beginning about the soaking,
preparation.
the scrubbing, and the skinning. That's right. Now, you put that into a shallow casserole dish, one that has a lid, and you look at it. Now, if in fact the liquid doesn't quite cover the tongues, then I will use a little of the stock that I used for cooking the tongues.
So you've still got the flavour, haven't you?
Still got the
Still
flavour, you see,
yeah.
and then the rest of that, of course, will make a nice soup. Put the lid on that, and then put that into a moderate oven, about 325, 350, until, in fact, they are tender enough to pierce with a straw. Now, that's very, very
Gosh,
tender,
that is, isn't
and
it?
could take an hour to an hour and a half further on. At which point, you take them out, transfer the tongues, slice them if you want to, onto
Yes,
a
I
hot
think
dish.
I would prefer that.
Put the sauce back over the heat, all right? Raise the heat to the maximum, throw in a handful of sliced mushrooms, and let
Lucy
the whole
wants them
thing
in.
boil away.
Does she? Okay.
And then pour it over your tongues and serve it with whatever you like.
Oh, lovely.
But you
Really
didn't
nice.
make the tea.
Yes, I have.
The thing
Yes,
is,
we have.
she gives lots of illustrations in the book of how to test the things that she's talking about. And one of the first tests is to illustrate how your mind affects your movements. And you draw a circle on a piece of paper and put a cross in the middle of it. And then hang like a pendulum, that's just my wedding ring, hang it from a piece of paper. While I concentrate on it, you see it's fairly still now. And without still trying to keep my arms still, if I move my attention, I'm moving now in my head, if you move, then the ring will start to oscillate. Is it moving? I'm looking away. Is it not? It's always moved before. Is it?
starting to, yeah.
Just that by losing your attention, your body is affected.
But you moved your head. It's bound to move.
Well, not if you're trying to keep it still. I mean, your head and your whole body aren't one. She suggests that every thought you have influences the body with a slight contraction of muscles. Therefore, if you are tense, your body is going to be... If your brain is tense, your body will be tense. If you're worried, your body... Although you think...
I think
I'm
I'd
not-
be too tense to start waving that thing around. I mean,
I
I would have
bought
learned
it
how
from
to...
him.
Yes,
It's
I
excellent
should do
heat.
it. Because you bought it for me,
Yes,
really.
it's called The Secrets of Relaxation by Marianne Kohler. And it's such a nice book. It's very easy to understand. Most of them.
Good.
You know, she gives all sorts of ways in which you can...
Bless you.
Excuse me. Bless you. It's tension, making you sneeze. And there's a questionnaire at the beginning, Mim, which I thought was quite funny. I came out very badly. I thought I was awfully relaxed, but I didn't. And some of the questions are, if you get 10 yeses, you're really in a bad way. I only got 7. And it says, do you wake up tired?
Yes.
Do you suffer from lapses of memory?
All the time.
Are you clumsy?
No.
Oh, good. Do you slam doors?
No.
Do you carry on muttered conversations with yourself?
Yes.
Do you try to get served ahead of your turn in the shop?
No.
Are you dissatisfied? Do you
What,
lose
sometimes?
your...
With what?
Yes, mostly.
Yeah.
Do you lose your temper? This is the
Occasionally.
worst one. And if all of you say no, I don't believe you. It says, do you find it impossible to hear someone out? Do you interrupt?
Oh,
I
no.
never do. Oh. And she's full of... She gives you exercises, you know, to relax, like tensing muscles and then relaxing them. And you think, well, I don't know if I'm relaxed. I think I am. But if you read the book, she tells you when you are. You know, for the first time, you really think, oh, I understand what she means.
But you do this anyway, don't you, with your yoga?
I do, yes, but there are lots of other ways. There's some, like a Japanese bath, which sounds lovely. I haven't tried that one yet. And she says, if your thoughts are light and full of goodwill, nothing but good will come of them. But if they're heavy, obsessive and negative, they will manifest themselves in a continual contraction of muscles.
That's me.
The muscles, in turn, will affect the organs nearest to them, which is why you often suffer from headaches, and which you do really, don't you? And stomach upsets, and lots of little bits like
Does she
that.
give anything for waking at night, you see? Because I wake between
She's
3
got a whole
and...
chapter on that, yes, about
3 and about
sleep.
quarter past.
Gee, that's awful, isn't it?
Oh, I do too, yes. I wake.
Some children got to frightful things, and they really do, they? I say, do you get...
I think I could do with that.
Yes, I think we all could. I was listening to you and thinking, that's absolutely me, because I talk to myself all the time. And I must tell you what happened the other day. I was walking down one of our local narrow lanes with high banks on either side. And Sophie was bouncing around. I was talking to her and I said, it's quite extraordinary. I can remember what I was saying. It's extraordinary. I do not understand why women don't teach their daughters how to cook and how to care for their babies. And why do other people? Why do they have to employ other people in order to do these things? Councils employ people. And I was talking to myself and suddenly Sophie sort of stopped and looked up at the bank and, whoa, you see, and there were 3 men leaning on their shoulders.
Oh, no.
And I said, good afternoon, I said, it's all right, I'm not demented.
But very embarrassed.
Very, I felt so stupid.
Yes.
So stupid.
But you don't normally talk
All the time.
Oh.
All the
I was
time.
just saying to Mary, being April Fool's Day, Avril, I used to hate to go to school on April Fool's Day because I think children know when somebody gets really embarrassed about it, and they all used to sort of pick on me because I was so embarrassed. And I used to catch it every time, you know, and I was determined it was never going to happen to me. But
Only once I've ever played an April Fool's joke on Cliff. That was a few years ago, and I went out and phoned him and said, I put on an accent and said that I was Mrs. MacDonald and that I would like central heating.
Show us your accent.
Mrs. MacDonald here. I wonder if you could come in and put some heating in for me. And he went, yes, madam. And I went into this great big spiel about how, you know, which is the best. I mean, and he's given me all the old pattern. I said, well, have you got a pencil? Should want my address? He said, yes. And I gave him my own address, our home address. He went, you bitch. And I went, it's April Fool. That's the only time I've ever done it. Other than that, I don't ever bother. I think it's a bit sort of...
I don't like practical jokes that actually cause anyone real embarrassment or
No, I don't.
or harm
Agree.
at
I
all. I think humour is a very personal thing, isn't it?
It can be a very cruel thing,
Yes,
too, can't it?
yes.
I like the kind of humour that Alan Corran has. I don't know
Oh,
whether you ever...
yes.
But I love
The
that.
sanitary inspector. It's lovely.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or perhaps Frank Muir, too. I think he's very, very, very funny.
That's sarcasm a lot of the time. He's terribly... He sends
but in a
types of
gentle way.
people up in the
That's it.
nicest possible
Yes.
way.
But you see, those people are performing their humour, aren't
Yes.
they?
Yes.
Quite deliberately.
Yes.
I mean, I think that I'm quite funny when I've got an audience. Well, I think the audience think I'm quite funny as
I
well.
always want to know whether one has a, you know, you can you always
Because they
say-
laugh.
Yes, but you hear people say, but you hear people say, oh, course, he's got no sense of humour, or he hasn't. But how do you know whether you've got a sense of humour or not? How does one know?
Doesn't everybody think they have? Everybody
I don't think I have. I mean, I get hysterical at...
Yeah.
Stupid
Yes,
things, yeah.
What I find so awful is that people laugh at me when I'm not trying to be funny. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be really serious, and they kind of go,
Well, don't you find that
Burst out laughing.
quite often a comedian will do that, trying to be as serious as possible, and the more serious they are, the funnier it gets.
Yes, but then they're...
That is a calculated
Yeah.
Of course it is. That's right. That's totally different, isn't
Yes.
it? A performance of being funny.
Yes.